Well, hello everybody, and a very, very warm welcome to the circuit to Barcelona, Catalunya, for the final round of the 2014 SEAT Leon Eurocup. 14 laps of excitement await us around the home of the Spanish Grand Prix. It is an absolutely gorgeous autumnal day, about 20 degrees ambient temperature. The sun is just peeking through, and there are thousands of people here to enjoy the last race. What's been an excellent year of the Leon Eurocup, the reinvented Eurocup for this year, the Mark III South Leon Eurocup car has proved to be a resounding success, something that is marked this weekend by the fact that we have got pretty much a capacity for 28 cars, of which coming in to qualifying yesterday, 7 could have won the title. As it was, results worked out in the favour of Paul Rosell, and it is Rosell who is the 2014 champion. However, any one of Ferenc Fitzger, Manuel Joao, Stian Poulsen and Julien Brichet could still finish second in the title race, and essentially, because they're all covered by just the 1 point, it's whomever finishes the first amongst those 4 drivers who will be second in the championship. So this is a real day of celebration for SEAT. There are thousands of SEAT staff and their families who are here to support the racing. And, well, let's hope that we give them a race to savour. This, the second race of the weekend, as has been the case throughout the year, sees the top 8 cars from qualifying reversed, and therefore we are pretty much guaranteed overtaking and action. Well, yesterday's race, it was Stefano Camini who was able to get the advantage off the line. He jumped clear of pole sitter Paul Rosell and was never headed. Rosell settled into second place, and because his principal championship rivals were squabbling behind him, that second position was enough to give him an unassailable points advantage, and therefore he claimed the crown at the checkered flag. The car coming into position now, the Norwegian driver Stian Poulsen, finishing third place yesterday. Poulsen having a great start to the race and then fighting his way through, having qualified in 9th position. Well, of course, because it's the top 8 reversed, he needs to start from 9th once more today. It means that in pole position, it is the Costa Rican driver, Mauricio Hernandez, for the target competition team, who has gone so well this weekend, finishing 8th place yesterday, but really on the pace, as were teammates Camini, but also Jürgen Schmal as well, who put together his season's best results. So the grid is full of VIPs and guests of SEAT as the build-up commences. The pit lane is closed very shortly. The drivers will be getting the 3-minute board. The grid will be cleared, and then the cars will be released onto their green flag lap. No warm-up, of course, this morning for the SEAT Leon Eurocup competitors, so this is their first opportunity to find out track conditions, make sure they've gone the right way with setup, because I think tyre pressures in particular are going to be absolutely critical for the Dunlop rubber, because it was pretty chilly first thing this morning, but the heat has really started to bake into the day, and therefore getting the balance right is going to be crucial over the 14 lap or 40-minute race duration. Typically, we've seen this year that you'll get the 14 laps in with no problems before the race time expires, and even if we do get the intervention of the safety car and the addition of a couple more laps, we still generally don't approach the 40-minute race clock. So spectators taking their seats, and because the pit lane has been open, we've still got 1 or 2 cars that are fighting their way through to the grid, including, in fact, our pole sitter Mauricio Hernandez, and also yesterday's race winner Stefano Camini. So there is Hernandez, the Costa Rican driver, in his second weekend of competition in the SEAT Leon Eurocup, because he only joined the series at Monza, where he got steadily better through the course of the weekend, scored his first championship point yesterday. Hernandez, from pole position, let's see what he can do. He shares the front row with Marcus De Diego, and De Diego, another driver who has had a fairly mixed season. His best result was second place in the first race at Monza. And he came into the weekend 7th in the championship standing. So there is Mauricio Hernandez. A quick wave to the camera as the grid begins to be cleared. Diego alongside him on the front row didn't make it to the checkered flag yesterday. He was one of the drivers caught up in a couple of early race incidents, but he has shown a fine turn of speed this year. He's also shown ample willingness to get his elbows out in the wheel-to-wheel combat when he needs to. Third on the grid is the first of 2 VIP cars this weekend. This one in the hands of the German Sebastian Stahl, who 10 years ago was the SEAT Leon Cup of Germany champion. The other VIP car is for the hugely successful trials rider Laia Sainz. She starts a little bit lower down the order. Fourth then for Fran Rueda. And Rueda, the 17-year-old Spaniard, 5th in yesterday's race. Had the pace to stay with, but not really challenged the leaders, as lining up in 5th, Manuel Xiao, who did have a disappointing run yesterday. He came into the weekend as one of the real favourites for the championship, having scored a fine victory in the preceding event at Monza. So here is yesterday's race winner, Stefano Camini. Thrice on the top step of the rostrum this year. Camini had a wretched run of bad luck through Spa and Monza, and that's what really took him out of the championship fight. So the grid is cleared, and it's the opportunity to really see the absolutely magnificently and immaculately prepared cars of the SEAT Leon Eurocup as they get ready to be released onto their formation lap. So the 1-minute board is shown to the drivers, and this is how they line up in full, with Mauricio Hernandez and Marcos Diego on the front row. Then Sebastian Stahl and Fran Rueda, Manuel Xiao and Stefano Camini, a very strong third row. Either of them could win the race, as could Julien Brichet and the champion Paul Rosell. Stian Poulsen, much to do from 9th, but he did it yesterday. Alongside him, Jürgen Schmal. Amalie Vignes, the first of the lady racers. The Andorran lines up in 11th. Gabor Weber has had such an up-and-down season, again 13th. Leaves him with a lot of work. Adina Boos was in the wars yesterday. Antonio Martin is a quick driver. The same for Jordi Oriola from 17th. Thibaut Morg shone in Monza, but 19th again means points are unlikely. Lorenzo Veglia in the wars in yesterday's race starts from 20th. And Stefano Zanini and the youngster Norbert Tuth. Maribel Capens towards the back of the field alongside the lay-in racing pair of Dejan Balatovic, Mladen Laluzic and Laia Sainz in the second of the VIP cars. So the green flag is waved now, and it is the green and white car of Mauricio Hernandez who leads the field away on the formation lap. The cars make absolutely magnificent percussive sound as it vibrates off the grandstand here. Our commentary position right in the top right-hand side of your picture there at the very top of the grandstand, which gives the tunnel-like effect as the cars embark on this last sighting of the home at the Spanish Grand Prix, of course, since 1991. And despite getting on for almost being 25 years of age, the Circuit of Barcelona Catalunya remains the key cutting-edge international motorsport venues. It's a track that is a firm favourite of the drivers and the teams, not least because it puts a premium on car setup and driving technique. It's a circuit that also, although in Formula One, has got a reputation of being slightly difficult to overtake on, for evenly matched touring cars such as these cannot fail to produce some fantastic action. In particular, the corner they're arriving into now, turn 4, we can see some overtaking to the inside. The same at the downhill hairpin at turn 5, as there's the last frantic dash to get into the seats from the absolutely thousands of SEAT supporters and employees who are here this weekend. So there is the royal blue car of Julien Brichet, and the champion, that's the white and blue car of Paul Rosell. Rosell, who has only won once this year, that came in the second race at the Salzburg Ring, and has had a remarkably consistent second half of the season. In the 5 races since the mid-season break, he has only been off the podium once, and that was a 5th place finish. He's had 2 thirds and 2 seconds, combined with his victory earlier on in the year and 2 other points finishes. He's just been steadily racking up the points haul Plus, he's been able to pick up a few qualifying points, and yesterday's 3 points that he got for pole position equally critical. So the battle for second in the championship, well, Frank Fitzger in the 55 car. Again, he is a long way down the grid. Manuel Joao, Stian Poulsen and Julien Brichet are all still in the hunt, and it is, although that quartet, really whomever finishes ahead of anybody else, who particularly finish inside the top 5 or 6, who will be claiming second in the standings. So the cars coming towards the conclusion of the green flag lap, just a little bit of weaving around, getting the heat into the Dunlop tyres. And then they'll come back ready for the standing start. There is Amalia Viñez, part of the Andorran Racing Agency. Of course, her brother Juan, who we have seen this year racing as part of the International GT Open, a very well-regarded rally driver. Amalia has had a pretty solid season herself, with the best result of 5th place in the second race at Monza. So through the final chicane, which was added getting on for a decade ago now, to add another overtaking opportunity here at the Circuit to Barcelona, Catalonia in particular, not so much through the chicane itself, but rather to slow the entry speed to the final turn and then to aid slipstreaming along the start and finish straight. So Mauricio Hernandez underneath the shade of the grandstand just has a few blips at the throttle as he comes to his position at the very front of the grid. He now has a fairly lengthy wait ahead of him, because with 14 full rows of cars, it's going to take 1 or 2 moments for them to form up into position. And it's going to be an absolutely thrilling start to the race. So the colours for you then. So the white and green car, that is Mauricio Hernandez. The white and orange car, Marcus Diego. The grey, black and red car, Sebastian Stahl. The white, red and yellow car, that is Fran Rueda. And then from behind, expect to see the purple and green car of Manuel Joao, the blue and white car of Stefano Comini, the all blue car of Julien Brichet, all fighting through as the teams ready themselves for the start of the race, which is about to get underway now. We get the green flag waved from the marshal at the rear of the field. The revs rise, the red lights come on and flash out. We go racing for the final time in 2014 in the Seat Leon Eurocup, and it's a super start from Manuel Joao. It's also well away too from Stefano Comini, but it's Mauricio Hernandez who converts pole position from Marcus Diego and Sebastian Stahl as the field fan out into the opening turn, and Diego looks to challenge around the outside. At least the first 10 are through cleanly. Hernandez runs out of road. I don't think he'll be penalised for that, as Fran Rueda and Stian Poulsen both run out wide through turn 2 and then try to force the issue through the never-ending right-hander at 3. And then sprinting on towards turn 4, it's Hernandez from Diego, then Manuel Joao, Fran Rueda, Sebastian Stahl, Stian Poulsen, Comini, Brichet and Rosell, all contesting 5th position really at exactly the same moment. So they then get on the brakes downhill into the hairpin at turn 5. Sebastian Stahl under pressure from Stian Poulsen, and Poulsen finds a way through, pushes Stahl out wide. And that also gives the opening for Julien Brichet as they squabble down through turn 6 on towards 7 and 8 as they begin the climb uphill towards the super quick turn 9. It's still all clean, a little bit sideways there from Stahl. Somebody's bumper goes missing as Hernandez comes under pressure from Marcus Diego at the head of the field. Out of turn 9 they come, and into one of the principal overtaking opportunities on this first lap. Turn 10 to Diego to the right-hand side of your pitch. To the left-hand side is Hernandez. Manuel Joao is somewhere behind. He taps to Diego on the brakes into turn 10, and Manuel Joao forces his way into the lead of the race. Hernandez slips into second. We've got somebody in trouble behind. It's possibly Frank Fitzger. We'll find out in due course. And that has rather served to split the second half of the field, as it's Joao who has the advantage downhill into the chicane. Towards the conclusion of this first 14 laps, then it's Hernandez to Diego, Rueda, Stian Poulsen and the rest of them taking a big bite out of the sausage curbs as they sprint through, and it's Joao who's got the advantage. It's the battle behind Fran Rueda, Stian Poulsen Stefano Camini, Julian Brichet, De Diego looks to the inside of Mauricio Hernandez, and Marcos De Diego should go through here. Indeed he does, up into second place. Fran Raider can't quite slip through to third. Oh, and the big incident there between Stian Poulsen and Fran Raider as Raider tried to correct. Poulsen went for a gap and slams into the side of Raider's car. Both of them out of the race early on. Still plenty of places to be sorted out, a little bit lower down the order, as I think that is Medina Bus, who's in the middle of battle with Mikkel Mack Jensen as our race leader. Manuel João in command. De Diego trying to close the gap, and then it's a little bit less crowded in behind after the incident between Rueda and Stian Poulsen. Arnie Vignes and Frank Fitzger have probably been the principal beneficiaries. They're up to 6th and 7th position. There they are. The black and red car of Fitzger, the white and sideways car of Amalia Vignes. She has got Jürgen Schmal in pursuit. There we see another angle of the Poulsen and Raider incident. No malice in that. Poulsen went for a gap that Raider closed a little bit too late. It's a big hit. So we've got the yellow flag out as Arnie Vignes under real pressure from Jürgen Schmal. Then it's Sebastian Stahl and the champion Paul Rosell, who are just in behind. Whereas Rosell, the white car with the blue bonnet, he has gone in turn. Antonio Martinez and Alex Carbonell just in behind. Frank Fitzger now is released to try and chase down Julien Brichet through the chicane. Then they get back to Vignes, Schmal, Stahl, Paul Rosell. Rosell, who was always the thinking man's tip for this weekend, because he's got a reputation as being a formidable driver around here. Knows the track inside out. So they accelerate down the start and finish straight towards turn 1, where of course they can't overtake on this occasion because the yellow flag's out for the recovery of Poulsen and Rueda. To take due care and attention, which they more or less do. Fortunately, Poulsen and Rueda are quite some way from the edge of the circuit. Got these great battles forming, in particular at the front of the field now. Marcos De Diego, as he's not being particularly pressurised by Mauricio Hernandez, is doing a good job of beginning to reel in Manuel João. Cast your mind back to September at Monza, you'll remember just how well João was able to withstand that pressure from really the rest of the field en route to victory in the first race. We've got the leading pair, and then Mauricio Hernandez, he has got Stefano Camini, the Swiss driver, just tucked in behind him. And then Julien Brichet in 5th. So in terms of the championship as things stand, this would be enough to give second place in the standings to Manuel João. João under real pressure as a likely challenge for third place. Stefano Camini looks to the inside of Mauricio Hernandez, and Camini is going to go through here on the brakes. He does just that, so Stefano Camini snatches third position away from Mauricio Hernandez as the challenge between the two leaders is beginning to really close up. Unfortunately, we've got a little bit of a technical issue with the cameras on that side of the circuit. Now we go back to the live pictures, and you can see how close Marcos De Diego was to Manuel João. De Diego makes the mistake, and Stefano Camini says, thank you very much, I'm going to challenge now. But where he's going to struggle is to make that move before the braking point into turn 1, because the yellow flags are still out. Here comes the freight train. It's a 16-wheeler for second place. Camini being pushed along by Martinez. There is Julien Brichet trying to force himself into the mix as well, and Brichet makes the pass on Antonio Martinez before they reach the waved yellow flag at turn 1. So that job is done for Brichet. That tiny mistake from Marcos De Diego was suddenly given a big jump to Manuel João, out to 1.4 seconds. So we're on the 4th of 14 laps. Manuel João leads the way. Second place, Marcos Diego. Third is Stefano Camini. Fourth is this man, the blue car of Julien Brichet. And then in 5th place, it is the Costa Rican driver, Mauricio Hernandez. In 6th, Frank Fitzger. And that septet have broken clear of the field. Stefano Camini, we saw last time round, he was so strong on the brakes into turn 10. That's what he's going to start thinking about building for already, because to make an overtaking moving through turn 7 and 8 is Generally only a good result for the spare parts department. Turn 9, likewise, is tricky. Instead, what you try and do is force the error from your rival. That's possibly what happened a little bit there for Marcus Diego. Just used a couple of inches more of the road than Camini, but Camini is not quite close enough to challenge. And as a result of all of that, as Diego is able to have the luxury of the racing line, it means they're closing back onto terms with Manuel João. In the meantime, Sebastian Stahl in the VIP car, having great fun defending from champion Paul Rosell. Alex Carbonell and Thibaut Mourgue, all part of that. The white and blue car of Rosell taking a big hook of the curb as he heads downhill. There is Amalia Vignes in 7th position. She attempts to close in to the train just ahead. Then it's Stahl, Rosell, Carbonell, scrap. As here comes the leading quartet. And Manuel João's advantage has been whittled away by half a second over the course of this last lap. We are getting a thrilling finale to the season here as Julien Brichet contemplates lining up the move on Stefano Camini. We've still got waved yellow flags into turn 1 as the recovery work for Paulson and Rueda continues. So Paulson and Fran Rueda's cars just being dragged to a place of safety. As Frank Fitzger lines up to take his shot behind Mauricio Hernandez. Then it's Vignes and Schmal trying to close the gap down. Losing quartet though. Electrifying pace here. Don't forget that Julien Brichet could find a way up ahead of Manuel João. That will give him 2nd place in the title battle. So still a lot to dispute. Fitzger in pursuit of Mauricio Hernandez as the leader, Manuel João, having a good opening half of this lap as Stefano Camini beginning to lose patience here with Marcus Diego, looking to try and bring that gap down, maybe look to even challenge once more into turn 10. The same goes for Frank Fitzger on Mauricio Hernandez. They head out of turn 9 downhill, and Camini shows himself into Diego's mirrors. Maybe gives him a little bit of assistance away into turn 10. You can see why, because João is suddenly able to build out a little bit of a buffer at the front of the field. Marcus Diego driving a wide car, but we saw a couple of times yesterday the switchback does work into turn 12, not on this occasion. Also not with a big fat sausage curb to the inside. So Camini picks up the throttle. Julien Brichet tucked in just behind him. Brichet twice victorious this year. That came at Spa and Monza. As across the line they come, powering through. The target competition team waving Stefano Camini on, but Camini has to think about defence on this occasion because Julien Brichet is all over his tail. The yellow flags are still out, and that is a real blessing for Stefano Camini because Julien Brichet was all but through then. He hadn't got his nose in front, so he had to back out of the manoeuvre. Field climbing uphill then through turn 3. There's the Hungarian driver Frank Fitzger in pursuit of Antonio Martinez, or rather Mauricio Hernandez, as Julien Brichet picking up the throttle into turn 4. And this battle for 2nd place is really giving Manuel João the opportunity to begin to ease away at the front of the field. João's advantage out to over a second once more. It's 1.2 seconds from 1st to 2nd place. It's an awful lot less than that from 2nd to 3rd, and then from 3rd to 4th. What we're seeing as well is the demands on these drivers in terms of the consistency, having to run lap after lap. This sort of pressure, this sort of company. As they plunge downhill towards turn 10. At what point does Camini just go for the move? He's a little bit too far back from Diego on this occasion, so he closes up behind the 27-year-old Spaniard once more. Diego doing exactly what he needs to do, which is just driving a wide car. He's making Camini do all the hard work here. Because if you stick to the racing line, you don't overly defend, given how even the cars are in this Seat Leon Eurocup, because except for a couple of setup tweaks, to all intents and purposes, they're absolutely identical. Then it really comes down to driver ability and driving technique. What you're not going to be able to do is just power around the outside of your rival. And so Camini having to work very hard here. Meanwhile, Thibaut Mourgue to the inside of Sebastian Stahl for a brief moment of glory He then takes a trip over to the motorcycle circuit. Camini once more not close enough to challenge Marcus de Diego into turn 1, and even if he wanted to, he couldn't anyway, because we have still got the yellow flags out in force, which is not going to reflect very well on Mauricio Hernandez, who takes a trip across the escape road in his defence of Frank Fitzger. So we're approaching half-race distance. It's still Manuel João who leads second place, Marcus de Diego third, Stefano Camini fourth, Julien Brichet. Great battle between that trio. In fifth place, it's Mauricio Hernandez, sixth, Frank Fitzger, seventh, Amalia Vinales, eighth, Jürgen Schmal, ninth, the champion Paul Rosell, and 10th it is Alex Carbonell. Downhill towards turns 7 and 8. Seen overtaking here in some of the other classes racing in Barcelona this weekend, but the Seat drivers instead just preferring to focus on the momentum carried into turn 9. They know that on the brakes into turn 10 is the best possible overtaking spot, particularly if you've got yellow flags covering turns 1 and 2. But again, Camini and Brichet not quite close enough to challenge de Diego, or are they? Camini saw the open, the very, very tiniest hint of an opening going into turn 10, almost thought about changing his line. He doesn't lose momentum to Diego. Come to the conclusion of the 7th lap of the race. And João, despite this battle, not really building up much more of a buffer. It remains about 1.2 seconds, but Camini, you can see, has got the pace. If he can find a way past Marcus de Diego, it would be surprising if Camini didn't there manage to get further on up the order. A bit of contact behind. That's Mikkel Mack Jensen, Marie Bauska-Pens and Adina Bus. So having it coming together as Julien Brichet now in a position to think about challenging Camini, but again the recovery is still ongoing for Stian Poulsen and Fran Rueda, so no opportunity. Hopefully those yellow flags will be retracted fairly shortly. Camini, he was a little bit wayward, we saw, heading into the penultimate turn on the last lap. It cost him along the start and finish straight, and he now has to work hard as Amalia Vinales coming under pressure now from Paul Rosell, and Rosell to the inside. Vinales looking to find the outside track, and they've got Frank Fitzger just ahead of them, who has evidently had a little bit of a moment trying to move clear of Mauricio Hernandez. So it's Fitzger from Vinales, Rosell and Schmal, 4 Seats, covered by about 3 Seat lengths at present as they head into this tight and twisty section that then opens up quite nicely. Vinales all over the tail of Frank Fitzger, looks the inside into turn 9. That would be brave. She needs to though, because Rosell thinks about the outside, then the inside on the switchback and downhill towards turn 10. This is going to be quite a sort out as Marcus de Diego clearly made a mistake coming out of turn 9. Had to defend from Camini as it's 2x2. There's Noah's Ark style into turn 10 as Camini now tries to pull the pin. You don't know where to look here. Camini to the outside track of Marcus de Diego as they head on uphill, and de Diego gives Camini racing route. Camini's still trying to force this, but he can't find a way past de Diego, and he leaves himself vulnerable to a challenge from Julien Brichet. Great defensive driving here from Marcus de Diego, driver who has previously finished third in the Spanish Seat Leon Cup, and that was back in 2010. Well, this is how the battle behind Frank Fitzger didn't change positions. Meanwhile, down the start and finish straight, we've still got yellow flags into turn 1, and so Julien Brichet has no option but to just slip back into the toe. Meanwhile, Paul Rosell has found a way past both Amalia Vinales and Frank Fitzger. As Camini continuing to apply the pressure, and now with good reason, because Manuel João, as a result of that last lap, has now massively built his advantage out to 3.2 seconds. And by the standards of the Seat Leon Eurocup this year, that is really quite substantial. But this is touring car racing at its very, very best. We've got very little, if anything, by way of contact. It's all about hard for clean racing. So here we see the cars barely put a sheet of paper between the pair of them as Camini challenged to the outside of Diego. Marcus knew what he needed to do, which is just stick to the racing line, make Camini do all the hard work. Julien Brichet is still nestled in behind, ready to pick up the pieces were anything to go wrong. He's got 5.5 laps remaining in the 2014 South Leon Eurocup season. And again, Camini looks to the outside line at turn 10. Now, if he can find the momentum, what that would give him is the inside line for turn 11. That's what he's trying to force. Diego just about able to get the track position. Camini's still trying to force his way to the inside. There's not much space there. Camini's trying to make some nonetheless, and it gives Julien Brichet maybe the opening to challenge. Fantastic racing. Onto two wheels for Camini in the blue and white car in pursuit of Marcus Diego, who has somehow, despite having had his mirrors filled of nothing but Seat Leon, maintained his position. Meanwhile, Camini's got to be careful here with track limits. He's more than once made friends with the AstroTurf on the extra some of the turns, and as Julien Brichet got his nose in front here as we get to the yellow flag zone. Indeed he does. Oh dear me, well, the yellow flags in fact have been retracted. Great news. And Brichet thought he might have had to have backed out of it. Camini certainly keeps his foot in through turn 3. And Mauricio Hernandez, thanks to all that squabbling, has joined in, and suddenly Marcus Diego has got some momentary breathing space. So there is Manuel João, almost 5 seconds clear. Diego suddenly breaking clear in second as Camini defending from Julien Brichet. Brichet has clearly decided with 5 laps remaining, enough is enough. He wants to join in the fight. The question is, do Camini and Brichet work together for the next lap, try and haul in Diego once more? Marcus, who finished second in the first of the races at Monza, on course to repeat that result. Camini, as we said earlier on, 3 times a winner this year. He's not been to the podium in any other capacity, whereas Julien Brichet, 2 victories and 2 second places. Mauricio Hernandez thoroughly enjoying himself and able to take full advantage of the fact that the battle behind has intensified, the battle in front has intensified. As Camini now attempts to close back into Marcus Diego on the brakes into turn 10, they swoop through. Camini is only about 6 or so car lengths adrift. Julien Brichet right in Camini's wheel tracks. It's great that we've now got no yellow flags out and around the circuit. They can really sort this out amongst themselves. Camini's was having a super run through this final sector, but you saw he just snatched the brake. And that eases him into the clutches of Julien Brichet. Meanwhile, Harriet Arubareda was briefly challenged by Marco Pellegrini. Pellegrini, who's not been without adventures this weekend, a trip through the gravel trap also. Frank Fitzger just elbowed aside by Antonio Martinez. Again, into turn 1, Camini has to defend, and that is what gives Marcus Diego the opportunity to build his buffer. It's through the 3rd turn, Camini so much stronger through the technical middle section of the lap. And that's where he can try and close back in onto the tail of Diego. It's going to be potentially a 5-car train soon, because you just saw at the back of your shot, Paul Rosell, the 2014 champion, is really closing in on this battle. There he is. You can just catch another glimpse of him. And Rosell, of this group of cars, 2 seconds quicker over the course of the last lap. And he's only 2 seconds back. So that is coming together very, very nicely. As having had about a lap and a half's respite, Marcus Diego is going to be thrust straight back into the mode of defender as Camini closes up through turn 9. There is Mauricio Hernandez, the pole sitter. He's done a fantastic job, the Costa Rican, in staying with this elevated company as Camini just shows himself to Marcus Diego. Hi there, I'm back, start defending. And it's out of turn 10 where Camini can try and force the issue again. He's looking for daylight, he isn't really there. Diego is just doggedly sticking to the racing line. Camini then takes the wide entry and try and get as tight an exit as possible. Diego knows that's coming, he hooks to the inside line. These cars all start coming back together. Almost contact with Diego through the chicane. Manuel João, of course, still leads the race. We have focused all our attention on the fight for the lead, and with very, very good reason. But Camini's going to have to be careful here with track limits. He's already had the warning flag once. As Julien Brichet's got the run, maybe towards turn 1. Camini parks the car in the middle of the road. And this is arguably the best race of the year that we've had in the Seat Leon Eurocup. They have served the best, saved the best to last. It's a large crowd here in Barcelona today to enjoy the action, and what a race it's proving to be. And we've still got the best part of 3 laps to go. We're on lap 12 of 14. If Marcus de Diego can withstand this pressure, that is going to be one of the performances of the 2014 season, because he's now got 4 cars walking up behind him. Camini sees gap to the inside, and Camini goes for second place. Now, can he get the car stopped in time? Yes, he can. Beautiful move that from Stefano Camini, but he runs a little bit wide, and Marcus de Diego tries to switch back to the inside. And again, de Diego is determined here into turn 7. He tries to force his way through, and Camini is going to run wide again. He is in real risk here of getting a track limits penalty, as now Julien Brichet challenges to the outside of de Diego through turn 9. But Marcus able to stick to his guns. Rosell and Hernandez join the fight, and they're going to be 3 wide, aren't they, as they head towards the braking zone for turn 10. And Paul Rosell might get 2 places in one fell swoop here. Oh, there's contact with Brichet, and Rosell is fired into Mauricio Hernandez. It's Hernandez who loses out, possibly with broken suspension. Rosell is slowed. You don't need to be a lip reader or somebody who speaks a number of international languages to get the gist of what the target competition team was saying then. But it was a case of 3 cars trying to go into a space that was only really 2.5 cars wide. Julien Brichet released the tail of Marcus de Diego. I think Mauricio Hernandez, unfortunately, is out of the race. Paul Rosell continues as we head into the penultimate lap of the season. It is Manuel Joao from Stefano Camini, then Marcus de Diego, Julien Brichet in 4th, Paul Rosell in 5th, Jürgen Schmal is 6th, Alex Carbonell 7th, Amalia Vignes 8th. Mauricio Hernandez has come across the line in 9th place, with Antonio Martinez in 10th. What drama. And here we see how it all started. The move from Camini to the inside of de Diego. Delight for target competition. Then moments later, Rosell across the bows of Brichet, and then fired in to Mauricio Hernandez. Ecstasy to agony, and lots of disappointment. I've got to suggest that was possibly Rosell's mistake. He maybe wasn't aware where Julien Brichet was, as Brichet now to the inside of Marcus de Diego, and this is for 3rd position. And through, taking the place, Julien Brichet. De Diego, though, will look to fight back in towards turn 9. He can't quite do it. And a race-long defence, a fine, fine defence from Marcus de Diego. Now looks like it's going to be for a points finish off the podium for Manuel Joao. He is well set for 2nd place in the championship. Julien Brichet should claim 3rd place in the standings. Results of this race, or will he? Because there's contact between de Diego and Brichet's rear spoiler is detached. Now, is that going to hamper him along the start and finish straight for the final time? Paul Rosell has also joined in this fight as well, so Rosell has clearly got the late race pace, which is a reversal of what we've seen so many times this year, where Rosell has gone strongly early on and then faded. Clearly the setup today is working the opposite direction as we're into the final lap. Manuel Joao leads by almost 10 seconds from Stefano Camini. Such has been the ferocity of the dicing behind. Then it's Julien Brichet in 3rd. Rear spoiler still just about with his car for company. The rear spoiler detaches itself in the middle of the start and finish straight. Those behind take evasive action as Marcus de Diego, now under sustained pressure from Jürgen Schmal and Paul Rosell. There is the nude rear of the Seat of Julien Brichet. Don't think he'll pick up any sort of penalty for that. It was really being tagged by de Diego, and de Diego now about to lose out to Paul Rosell for 4th position. Rosell to the inside at turn 4. Pushes. De Diego, though, is going to have the track position for the inside line for turn 5. Jürgen Schmal is also swarming around looking for a gap that may or may not appear. It's still side by side between De Diego and Rosell. Robust defence from Marcus De Diego. Paul Rosell, he's got the championship wrapped up. This is for pride, and he finds space to the inside line at turn 7 and slides through. For the second lap in a row, De Diego demoted. A little bit of contact there as Marcus De Diego wants to dispute this through turn 9. Eventually has to concede as now Jürgen Schmal picks up the throttle and looks to challenge. Well, here is our race leader, Manuel João. And whilst Battle Royale has raged behind, he got himself into the lead early on and thereafter has been in perfect command. He withstood the pressure, and then as those behind fought, he was just able to open up a little bit of a gap on the rest of the field. That gap has widened and through to take the checkered flag, his second victory of the season and the final win of the 2014 Seat Leon Eurocup season. It is Manuel João. He will claim second in the championship standings. Third place goes the way of Stefano Camini. And into fourth, it is, rather, second place Stefano Camini, third is Julien Brichet, fourth Paul Rosell. And behind, plenty of sprinting for the line. Zamala Viñez edges out Antonio Martinez by just 0.03 of a second. Oh, what a fantastic race we had to bring the curtain down on the season. Truly, that was touring car racing at its very, very best. Really hope that you enjoyed that one. Certainly the crowd did here, because the big screen is operational above the across from the grandstand, and every time we had some instance, you could hear a percussive roar that would make the commentary booth vibrate. And I'm sure Manuel João, Portuguese driver, a popular winner. It's been a very solid season from João, and he finishes it with second in the standings and 2 victories. Well, a race of non-stop drama and entertainment. There was something happening throughout. It was mainly that fight for second place, which eventually was decided in favour of Stefano Camini. Julien Brichet completing the rostrum. So a 5th trip to the podium of the year for Brichet. Not a bad haul from the 12 races that we have had. As the 2014 season comes to an end, don't forget through the winter to keep an eye on the Seat Sport website, as the plans for the Seat Leon Eurocup for 2015 will be announced. But it's a great website as well. Plenty of articles about the competitors in the championship, videos and highlights of the season so far. So look then at the final results. João wins it, Camini second, Brichet third, Paul Rosell fighting fourth, Marcus Diego a great drive for fifth, Jürgen Schmal an equal season's best of 6th, Alex Carbonell in 7th, Mauricio Hernandez recovers to 8th, Amalia Viñez into 9th, Antonio Martinez completes the top 10, and Sebastian Stahl in the VIP car, Gabor Weber, Mari Baus-Capens and Lorenzo Veglia, and Haru Barena in 15th place, Frank Fitzger 16th, Stefano Zanini in 17th from Adina Bus, Dejan Balatovic, Laia Sanz, Mladen Laluzic, and then Mikkel Mack Jensen, Jordi Oriola, Marco Pellegrini, Thibaut Morg, Fran Rueda, Stian Paulsen and Norbert Tuth, all encountering some drama. So here is a look then at the final classification for the season. Paul Rosell, the champion, Manuel João, runner-up, Julien Brichet in 3rd from Stefano Camini and Stian Paulsen. So the opportunity for Manuel João to celebrate. It's been a magnificent weekend for the Vaporo Motorsport team. They've won the championship with Paul Rosell. They've won the 2nd race of the weekend with Manuel João, who receives the full range of congratulations in Parc Fermé. We'll be shortly heading down there to grab a word with an absolutely jubilant race winner. For Stefano Camini, a really hard fought 2nd place, and he and Julien Brichet, I think, will be very, very proud of the race that they had. So handshakes and celebrations all around. It's on the back and a handshake from Camini. Well, certainly if these drivers return to the championship next year, we are in for another absolutely thrilling year, because Kamini and Brichet have had the pace but not the luck this year. Manuel João has got better and better as the season has gone on. And we will very shortly be able to hear from our race winner, Manuel João, down in Parc Fermé. So let's grab a word with Manuel João, who's down there with Melissa Weeks.
Manuel, a win and second in the championship. A fantastic way to finish the season for you?
Yes, fantastic. To be honest with you, I think Vaporu made a great job this year. I think they understand very well this car. Fortunately for me, the qualify was not good because I had a problem with the delayed driver. I couldn't qualify in the front, that I missed that 3 points. And also, you know, starting from fourth, fifth in this championship, it's very difficult to go to the front. And I had problems yesterday, and today I think I did my best start this year. My first lap was very good. I knew it, that I had to do a very good start, and I did it, and I'm very happy. Thank you very much also. Thank you.
So let's take a look back at the highlights of Manuel João's triumph. Of course, this was the reverse grid race, so it's Mauricio Hernandez who led away from pole position as the field charged to turn one. Hernandez flicked it sideways, got it all up to make the early running. Behind, there was plenty of jostling for position. Stian Poulsen was making great progress early on as he elbowed aside Sebastian Stahl. Manuel João got bottled up behind early leader Marcus Diego. That manoeuvre was decisive for the race. Once João was through, he ran away as there was contact in retirement. Stian Poulsen ran away at a disappointing end to the season for the pair of them. So Mikkel Mack Jensen in the wars, as were Adina Boos and Mari Bausen-Gopens. So it was really the story of the fight for second which kept us captivated throughout the race, as Marcus Diego, lap after lap, withstood everything that Stefano Camini could throw at him. Eventually, though, Camini found an opening to the inside at turn 5, slid through, and that was sufficient to allow him to run off into the sunset. As then, Julien Brichet's task was made easier as Rosell and Hernandez delayed themselves. So it was Brichet and then Rosell found a way past Marcus Diego. Manuel João, meanwhile, was able to build a significant buffer at the front of the field. So it was the second win of the season for Manuel João, and that was enough to give him second place in the championship behind Rosell. Second on the day went the way of Stefano Camini, and then third place to Julien Brichet. It was a fantastic way to round out what has been a brilliant season of racing. So on to the final podium of the season, Brichet, Camini and João. So the Portuguese national anthem rings out at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia, in honour of Manuel João. So we move on to the presentation of the trophies for the final rostrum of the year. Third place for Julien Brichet, who has been consistently one of the stars of the season. He is certainly a title favourite for the 2015 season. The same would go for Stefano Camini. On his day, he has been absolutely unassailable. Today, though, he had to settle for second best, but nonetheless, a superb drive from Camini. And then our winner's trophy to be presented to Manuel Xiao. Top step of the rostrum. Handshakes and congratulations. Delighted driver. Huge cheers from the marshals down in Parc Fermé, and so with the last photographs of the season about to be taken, it will then be time to celebrate with the Freycinet on the rostrum, which means in due course it is time for myself, Ben Evans, on behalf of everybody involved in the Saint Leon Eurocup, to say thank you very much for your company throughout the course of 2014. Hope that you have enjoyed all of the racing as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you, and we look forward to seeing you next season for the Saint Leon Eurocup. But until now, it's time to celebrate what's been a fantastic year of racing.